know, I know Jennifer and Leslie both sort of turned me on to your podcast. It's Your Virtual Upline. And if the rest of you aren't listening to him, you need to. He does some amazing teaching on branding, network marketing, and online marketing. And so you can check that out. You can also check out his website, bobheilig.com. He said he could take some questions towards the end. So if you want to put those into the chat, then Jennifer and I will share those with him when we get towards the end. So thanks again, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Bob.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I appreciate it, Allison, and I'm excited to be here. I think this is like my third or fourth training call that I've done for Plexus, so I'm starting to kind of get to know you guys pretty well. And just want to start off by thanking all of you that have been kind of supporting me and spreading the word about what I do. Always really grateful for that. And, my goal tonight is anytime I do something like this, I want to be able to hopefully, by sharing some of my experience and some of the things that I've learned over my career in network marketing, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in a second if you don't know my story. But my goal is I want to be able to hopefully give you at least one or two things, whether they be strategies or insights or tactics that you can apply to your business to become better. And I think that, if I can accomplish that, then I did my job. But when in asking Allison, hey, what to get an idea of how she thought I could best add value, some of the things that she shared are really some of the things that I hear from mostly everyone. And I've been around this profession long enough to kind of have a sense of what people struggle with, because I myself struggled with a lot of the same things that we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be, talking about mindset and dealing with fear, because fear is a very real thing that keeps people from achieving what they want in their business. And then we're going to touch on really trying to empower you to be a little bit better when it comes to the prospecting and recruiting process. So I want to try to hopefully give you some insights that can help you do a better job at actually getting people to want to join you in your team. And then in turn, actually, when they do join, do something and actually produce, which is always a good thing. So, but I'll share with you a little bit about my story real quickly. I spent over 10 years in the network marketing profession as a representative. About 2 years ago, I wound up starting my own online training company focused on teaching network marketers. And my first year in network marketing was the furthest thing that you would consider an overnight success. I struggled big time. Matter of fact, I wasn't able to recruit a single person my whole first year. I had two customers, myself and my mom. And I had to literally threaten my mom to become my customer. I told her if she didn't buy my products, I wasn't going to come home for Christmas. And that was my closing tactic that sealed the deal for her. My first recruit, I don't talk about this a lot, but I just came across this story that I was sharing a little bit earlier today. But my first recruit actually wound up being my cousin Keith. And the only reason why he joined my business is because he owed me, I owed him $500. And that was how much, coincidentally enough, it cost to join my network marketing business. So he basically said to me, he said, listen, man, he goes, I love you, but if I join this business and we just call it even for the $500 you owe me, will you shut up and stop talking to me about it? And I was like, yep, sounds good. I was just excited to say I had a recruit, but that was the start of my business. And, so I share that with you because I want to let you know that if you're in a place in your business right now where you're struggling and you're frustrated and hasn't happened as quickly as you thought it would, and maybe you're starting to kind of doubt yourself and question whether you even have what it takes to be successful in a business like this, I will tell you that I can totally relate to where you are. I've been there so many times in my career, but I'll also tell you at the same time that regardless of how bad you think it is, if you just continue to move forward in a positive direction and try to get better, anything is possible. This profession went on to change my life over the remainder of my career. After I got past that first year of real struggle, I was able to, I earned over 7 figures in the profession, was built a team of over 100,000 people in my last company. So had really big success, But I think one of the reasons why people relate to my training is because I really know what it feels like to struggle. And I think I can speak to that really well. But one of the questions that I get a lot is this. People will say to me, they say, okay, like what changed? That's a pretty big shift to go from being that bad your first year to, becoming that good. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the thing that made the biggest difference for me was, and I think that probably a lot of you will relate to this, is I learned how to change my relationship to fear. And here's what I mean by that. My entire first year in my business as an entrepreneur, anything that scared me to death, I ran away from and avoided like the plague. I'll give you some examples. I was scared to death to talk to people that I knew that were more successful or established in their career than I was, so I never did it. I was scared to death to speak in public, which I'll talk about more in a second. So I resisted giving a presentation or getting in front of the room and sharing my story. I didn't do it for the first year because I was so afraid of it. And I also, one of the things that I've come to learn, and this might be kind of an eye-opening thing for you because maybe you never thought of it like this. One of the things that I realized was I was saying with my words how bad I wanted a team, right? I wanted a huge team. I was like, man, that's all I want. But what I realized looking back is I actually self-sabotaged myself anytime I got close to success because deep down inside, I was afraid of being a leader. I actually didn't believe in my own ability to lead. And what I didn't understand that I was doing is anytime I got close, maybe I would recruit someone or two people and there'd be like a little spark of something happening. I would do something to completely destroy it. And I didn't realize why I was doing it. It used to frustrate me, but it was because I was afraid of being a leader. So fear really dictated my business for the first year and a half. And then I learned how to do something really powerful. I remember, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Tony Robbins. I was listening or reading one of his books, and he talked about this concept of using fear as a compass and how unless we're in mortal danger, right? Like if you're, my biggest fear in life is heights, deathly afraid of heights. If I'm standing on the edge of an airplane and I have no parachute and somebody's trying to push me out, I'm scared and I have good reason to be scared. But if I'm sitting, in a room and somebody asks me to share my personal testimonial, or I'm sitting at my desk and I'm getting ready to push go live to do a Facebook Live, that fear is an illusion. I'm not going to, I'm pretty sure, I have to check, but I don't think to date anybody has died from doing a terrible Facebook Live. I'm pretty certain that that's the case. And I'm pretty sure that nobody has died because they gave not a great presentation or screwed up a prospecting conversation, right? But so what I learned how to do was I learned how to recognize these things that I was fearing in my business as things that if I could just get the courage to push past that fear and do them anyway, they were some of the things that created the biggest breakthroughs in my life. For example, public speaking. I talk about this a lot, and I realize that some people probably don't believe this, but public speaking has been one of my biggest fears most of my life. I'm very introverted by nature, and I remember the first time I was forced, basically, to get in front of a room at a network marketing meeting and just open up and welcome everybody out. It was a very small room, not even 30 people in there. Saturday morning, it was down at the Philadelphia airport. I hadn't really had a lot of success, but I guess I looked, sharp enough, like I kind of had my stuff together. So they're like, hey, let's get this guy in front of the room and get him out of his comfort zone. And I got in front of that room, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life. I didn't even remember my name. I had a cup of water in my hands. I was shaking so bad. I was spilling water on myself. I literally couldn't get out of that room fast enough. But I remember the feeling when it was over after that, being mortified kind of washed over me and the embarrassment. I remember thinking this really weird feeling came over me that I was very surprised. I had this urge to want to do it again. which was really weird to me because it was something I was so afraid of. But by doing it, it kind of cracked something open in me where I said, you know what? I realized that if I want to be successful in this type of a business, I got to get over that fear. And you know what? The next time I'm in front of that room, I'm going to just try to do a little bit better. And so what it did, by facing this fear and forcing myself to do the things I didn't want to do, I actually opened up the desire to want to start to get better. And here's what's really crazy. After about a couple of months of stumbling and falling and eventually getting a little bit more confidence, I figured out I was actually pretty good at it. And I never would have known that. Like, how could I be good at something that was one of my biggest fears almost my entire life? And here's what I've learned about fear. I learned this from a book. It's one of my favorite books. It's called The War of Art. And inside this book, The War of Art, they talk about how every single one of us, every single one of you has two lives. You have the life that you live, and you have the unlived life within you. And the unlived life within you is the greatness, the untapped potential that is inside of every single one of you. See, if you accomplished even half of what you were capable of, you would astound yourself. Like, you have no idea the things that you could do. But what do? We discredit ourselves. We talk down on ourselves. We don't believe that we have that greatness inside of us. And the thing that keeps that greatness from coming out is fear. Now, the book calls it resistance. But here's what's really interesting about this concept of resistance. Oftentimes in our life, the things that we fear the most are the very things that we were put on this earth to do. Think about that concept for a second. Guys, I spent almost my whole life so afraid of public speaking that I wouldn't even raise my hand in class because I didn't like the sound of my own voice. And here I stand before you today, 15 years after I gave that terrible opening presentation. And I'm quite certain about this fact that my purpose on this earth, my calling, is to inspire people through my story and my words. And what I think about is this. I think about, what if I never joined a network marketing company? What if somebody didn't care about me enough to push me in front of that room? Would I ever have discovered that gift that was in me that I never even knew was there? So my point in me sharing this with you is I want some of you to really start looking at these things that you're afraid of differently. And I want you to start trying to challenge yourself and recognize, you know what? There's a reason why you're afraid of talking to that successful person that you know. Because in doing so, that's going to be the person that's going to join your business and turn everything around. There's a reason why you're afraid of doing your first Facebook Live. Because doing that Facebook Live is going to open something up in you that you didn't even know was there, and is going to transform your entire life. You know, there's a reason why you fear being a leader, because you were born to lead. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I don't really have a great story. I've been through a lot, right? I've struggled. I struggled. Here's what you have to understand. Life happens not to us, it happens for us. The things that you go through for a reason. What I've come to learn is that your problems are actually your gift. And the thing that makes you such a great leader in a business like this is the fact that you've struggled so much. Look, I have no illusion. One of the reasons why I was such a great leader is because I stunk so bad my first year. There wasn't anybody that could sit there and say something to me that I hadn't already been through. You know, and when I shared my story and I said, you know what, I just didn't quit, that's the type of stuff that inspires people. We don't like hearing the story of somebody that said, hey, you know, I joined a couple months ago and nobody said no to me and now I'm making 10 grand a month. We hate those people, right? Like, I remember, like, I would hear those people's stories and I'm like, I can't relate. That's not real to me. But then I would hear the story of the person that took 6 or 7 years to get to the top. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that is what I'm going through. So here's one of the things, a lesson that I want you to learn. If you are leading a team right now, And when I say leading a team, guys, you might have a team of 5. You might have a team of 2. You might have a team of 1,000. Doesn't matter. Regardless of the size, you're leading a team. Here's what I will tell you. If you have a team of 5, the way you get a team of 10 is you honor that team of 5 in a way that you've not honored anything else on this earth. See, a lot of people, they don't give themselves credit. They're like, well, my team's there's only 10 people. Okay, well, how are you treating those 10 people? Maybe if you started looking at, well, you know what? I've got 10 people. How many people have none? Start being grateful for what you have. Start honoring your team. That's how you go from 10 to 20. That's how you go from 20 to 40 and 40 to a couple of hundred, right? But what you have to understand is this. You have to understand that when it comes to being a leader, the thing that is going to be required of you more than anything is you're going to have to lead by example. I'll tell you the number one trap that I see people making. They finally break through and they finally create a little bit of success. They get a team. They've got some momentum. They get a couple of checks. Things are going well. And then they slip into something that's very dangerous that I call management mode. And management mode is where you stop doing the things that got you to where you are. You stop recruiting and getting new customers because the easier thing for you to do is to just try to manage and support your team. But the problem is your team sees you doing that and then they start to duplicate, right? So what happens before long is you have a bunch of managers managing one another. Nobody's doing anything and you're frustrated. But what you're not understanding is you're a big part of the problem. You know, don't yell at your team and say, why aren't you doing anything if you're not doing anything, right? So we have to always remember it's about getting back to what's called phase 1, personal prospecting, recruiting, getting customers, leading by example. Now let's talk about recruiting because I know that this is an area where the vast majority of people that are in network marketing struggle mightily. I'm here to tell you not what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. Is that fair enough? Okay, good. So I'm going to shoot you straight. If you're on this Zoom last night or tonight, if you're watching the recording and this describes your business, you have no problem getting customers, but you can't get a recruit for your life. Or anytime you get a recruit, they wind up doing absolutely nothing. So all you do is got a bunch of customers, right? If I'm describing your business right now, I am going to tell you why you're struggling, okay? You're talking too much. There's never been another reason why somebody struggles with recruiting. Now, well, actually, there's only 2 reasons. One, you literally just don't talk to anyone. Well, I can't fix that problem. But more than often than not, the problem is you're talking too much. You're verbally vomiting all over people. Your prospects are asking for a little sip of water, and you're blasting them with the fire hose, and you're knocking them right out of being interested with the business. And here's the number one mistake that I see people making is they talk too much. Let me try to get you to understand this from another perspective, okay? I think this might be a light bulb moment for some of you. I want you to think back to the very first day that you signed in and joined Plexus. I want you to think of your first day. It might be sooner for some of you, longer for others, but I want you to think about that first day. Here's what I would almost guarantee you. That first day that you signed in, you did not know even a fraction of the amount of information that you know today. Would we all agree that that's the case? Right? You didn't even know a fraction about the products. You didn't know what was in the products. You didn't know all the science behind them or all the things, right? You didn't know about the compensation plan. I mean, you barely knew anything, but you joined. Now, why did you join? Well, I would argue you joined because the timing was right in your life. You were dissatisfied. You needed a change. The person that introduced you, you had trust or respect on some level. And then number 3, when you were around the company, whether it was by trying the products or meeting the people, it created a good feeling for you. And you said, I want to be around this more. And that was what you based your decision on. Very small amount of information. But then here's what happens. we join the company, we learn a lot, and then we forget that we didn't need to know all that. So when we approach a prospect, we feel the need to literally download everything we've learned in our entire career and explain it to that person. We want to tell them about every single ingredient and every single product and what it does and the benefits and the studies and the science and how the compensation plan works and trips and the company and this. Like, all we do is talk. And here's what the prospect does, is their eyes glaze over. And here's what they start thinking. Oh, man, I could never do that. I don't have the ability to do that. I don't have the time to do that. So you know what they do? They just buy your products because maybe they actually need them, or maybe they just want the easy out. But they're not going to join you in your business because they don't see themselves doing what you're doing. So here's what we have to learn how to do. We have to learn, and this is not easy, but it is simple. We have to learn how to start saying less and start earning more. The less that you say, the more money you will make. Like, it's a direct correlation. The simpler you make the exposure process for somebody looking at the business, the better it'll be. Now, how do we do that? Well, we use what are called third-party tools. Instead of explaining and answering questions, we use videos. We use calls, we use samples, brochures, we use other people, we use the website. Like, literally anything but you is third party. So what you have to learn how to do is you have to learn how to simply direct people to what they need in order to help them make a decision. But remember, most people don't need a lot of information to make that decision. It's either going to be the right time for them or it's not. And I'll tell you the thing that's going to sway them more than anything: your personal story and your personal testimonial. Not you explaining the way things work, you talking about the reasons why you joined, the dissatisfaction you had in your life, relating to them, connecting to them, letting them know that you're like them, and then telling them that Plexus is a solution to their problems. And then when they start asking questions, you leverage the third-party tools, you play the video, you get them to the meeting, you get them on a three-way call, you show them the website, you give them the product, right? That's very simple, but it's not easy. And the reason why it's not easy is because sometimes our ego gets in the way, meaning that we don't want to seem like we don't know the answers, right? We want to seem credible, but our desire to seem credible and our ego is what keeps us from having success. Sometimes it's that we're just excited. Like, I get it. You're excited. You want to share it with them. But here's what you have to understand. The training process, this is probably one of the biggest aha moments I ever had in this business. The training process does not start when someone signs into the business. The training process starts the moment you open your mouth to them, before they even know it's called Plexus, or before they even know they're going to join. You are training and teaching them from your first interaction. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. When it comes time for them to make a decision and say yes or no, they're going to think back to everything you did and said. And if you didn't make it stupid simple, and if you didn't get yourself out of the way and let other things and other people do it for you, then you're going to lose more people than you're going to get, because they're going to just think, I can't do that. Most people that you're going to recruit or prospect, they're not sales types. They don't consider themselves great salespeople. So if that's what you're doing by explaining and answering questions, then you're going to push people away. So we have to learn how to start saying less. We have to learn how to start facing our fear. And we got to show up every day, and we got to go to work. You know, building a business is not easy. Building a network marketing business, if you haven't figured this out already, is going to be one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. Building a business of any kind is one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. But I will tell you, it's also one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do in your life. Like, you know, once you're there, it's gonna feel like it literally takes forever. It's never going to happen as fast as you want it to. But once you're there, you're going to turn around and it's going to feel like it happened overnight. Like, ask Jennifer, ask Allison. Like, they probably, when they were in the middle of it, were like, man, this is never going to happen. But now that they're there, they're like, holy crap, that happened so fast. right? So we have to remind ourselves it's about showing up every day, doing the little things that are going to lead us to the results we want. And then the final thing I'll say, and then we'll take some questions, is you have to resist the urge to compare yourself to other people. It is a trap. It will never serve you well. Anytime you try to do it, you're going to take all of your worst qualities and compare it to the other person's best qualities, and you will never live up to that. You never know someone's true story. So it's just not a productive thing to do. Here's what I will tell you to do. If you want to compare yourself to someone, compare yourself to yourself. Compare who you are today to who you were yesterday. Compare who you are tomorrow to who you are today. Make it a goal to just do something every day, as little as it might be. Maybe it's just getting out of your comfort zone and talking to someone that you meet out in public about your business, something you never would have done before. But because you do it, you get a little bit better, right? Just make it a goal to get a little bit better every single day, and you will be absolutely amazed at how much your business and your life can transform if you constantly push yourself to do those types of things. So that's what I had to cover. I hope that you got some value out of that. I know we wanted to leave some time for questions here at the end. So I will, Allison, I'll turn it back over to you or Jennifer, whoever. And, if we want to take some questions, then let's go ahead and do that.
I am just amazed. I feel like you put things that we had been thinking. I know a lot of people have been thinking and feeling, and you just articulated it so incredibly well. One of the questions I have is, how did you identify that you were self-sabotaging yourself? Like, how did that happen? Like, what was your aha around that?
Yeah, for me, it was mostly,
because I think
for me, it was mostly consistency. Like I would get on a roll and create momentum, and then I would just magically just stop. I would check out for several days at a time and not understand why I did it. Or, I wouldn't make a follow-up call that I was supposed to. Or, it was little things that I would do, but it was mostly all surrounded around consistently working my business. I would start, stop. I had what was, I refer to as a sometime business. I worked my business when I felt like it. And so that was everything for me. It was about consistency and staying on top and really running it like a business, right? When I brought a new person in, I would kind of become more lackadaisical. I wouldn't be all over them about training and helping them, and I wouldn't go that extra mile. So it was like, at the time, I didn't recognize it as that, but now understanding what I do, looking back, it's very clear to me why it was that I was doing that.
Okay, so another question we had is, how did you go about changing your mindset? When you knew mindset was off, what are some tools our folks can use to help them change their mindset?
You've got to, it took me a while to change my mindset. It's not an overnight thing. It's a continual process. You have to surround yourself with people that have the mindset that you want. A lot of it happens through osmosis. Like, I could remember being around some of the leaders in the company, and I would just be like, I would look at them with amazement, and I would just be like, how can a human being be that confident or have that much belief? Like, nothing that happened to them even swayed them, or at least they wouldn't be showing that. And I remembered I would be around that, and I'd be like, oh my God, like, how is that possible? But what I didn't realize is that started to kind of bleed into me a little bit. But the other thing I did is I started eliminating things that were toxic that were in my environment. I started reading books. I stopped listening to the radio on the way to work, and I would listen to, CDs and tapes. Now, podcasts for me. I reduced the amount of time that I spent with certain friends of mine. You know what I'm talking about? The friends that every time you get off the phone with them, you feel like you have to go take a shower because they're so negative. And they're just, you know what I mean? Like I had to learn that there are certain people that I had to limit my associations. I had to start spending time with the people that I wanted and where I was. And I had to listen, your mind is like a garden. And the natural state of the human mind is weeds. And if you go too long without putting good stuff in your brain, weeds will begin to grow. And weeds are negative thoughts. Weeds are self-doubt, right? Weeds are lack of motivation. You have to constantly be weeding that garden by putting good stuff in. I even notice it myself. Like if I go a span of a couple of weeks where I don't listen to podcasts and I don't read and maybe I don't do as many videos, I start feeling a little bit more detached. I start getting negative and I start questioning myself, which is so crazy for me, you know, because I have all this visible like success around me, but it's human nature to fall back into that negative thinking. So it's a constant process that we have to be engaging in to condition ourselves to think differently.
That is an awesome analogy. I have 3 more questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So do you generally lead with products or lead with business?
So I come from, I spent the majority of my network marketing career in a service-based company. So for us, it was, I marketed utility, gas and electric services. So it was very much like an opportunity first thing. It was predominantly men. But then I also spent the last year and a half of my network marketing career in product-based companies, which I actually found that I liked better because I liked having kind of the tangible product. But I wasn't the one that decided. I kind of let the prospect decide. Meaning that to me, there wasn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Some people I thought they may be more interested in the products because of what they do or who they were. So maybe I would lead with product, or sometimes I would lead with opportunity. But listen, I think people sometimes they put too much emphasis on this. Like, what do I do, product or opportunity? Listen, somebody's going to join the business. The products are going to have to be evaluated at some point, right? And if somebody loves the products, they're going to hear about the opportunity, right? So they're going to get both. You have to choose which one you feel more comfortable with, because if it's keeping you from approaching people, that's not good. Some of the people that I worked with, they felt way more comfortable talking about the products and leading with the products, so that's what they did. Other people that I worked with, they felt way more comfortable leading with the opportunity, so that's what they did. Whatever is going to make you reach out and make the contact, you should do, but you should also pay attention to the way people respond. You know, if I put the opportunity out there and somebody doesn't jump on it, but they show interest in the products, then all I'm going to talk about is the products with them. So I think it's different for every person. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I think you just have to do what's right for that particular situation.
I love that response, because I think so often we're trying to talk to people about really connecting with folks and building relationships.
Yep.
And so it's not a one size. How do you go about building a network if you're someone who feels like you don't have a strong network around you? So sort of intentionally building that network.
Facebook. Start doing live videos. Start connecting with people. Start sharing valuable content online, engaging with people. If you don't have a big network, you got to go out and find one. And, I think the world we live in today, Facebook is where most people are. This is not a training on Facebook, but I'll tell you this. If you go to my podcast, there are a ton of episodes I've done. And as a matter of fact, if you give me, Allison, if you allow me to just promote this, I've got something that I think can help them. It's a free prospecting script guide. So if you're looking to improve your prospecting on Facebook, I created a free PDF guide that I actually just introduced today. If you go to bobheilig.com / social media scripts, Bob Heilig, that's HEILIG.com / social media scripts, all one word. I've got like a 7-page PDF guide. It's actually called my 5 proven scripts for prospecting on social media that work in any situation. I've got 5 scripts in there. They were my 5 favorite scripts that I've ever used that'll work in any situation. And I go over the number one mistake that people make that kills them before they even start. I cover all that in the guide. So if you're looking to use Facebook more effectively, I think this is something you absolutely need to grab.
Thank you. That is an awesome resource. I will be sure to share that on our team page also.
Awesome.
Last question. How do you teach duplication?
So you teach duplication by, number one, modeling and helping create it. So what I mean by that is you can't teach duplication, but what you can teach are strategies that lead to duplication. Does that make sense? Like duplication is it's not a tangible thing. But I'll share with you one principle that could probably be helpful. Okay. One of the things that I learned from one of my early mentors was he told me, he said, Bob, he goes, your goal when you bring in a new recruit is to not work with that recruit. You work through that recruit. He goes, your number one goal when you bring in a new person is to find one new recruit for that person. He goes, because if you can do that in their first 7 to 10 days, he goes, number one, you will lock them in. They ain't going anywhere because they're excited because they see it working. And he goes, you won't have to motivate them anymore because they'll be motivated by a fear of loss because what they see happening in front of them, underneath of them. And if they're smart enough, they'll realize they need to do some more work to get paid on what's happening. Now, that's a strategy called taprooting that's been around for a long time. But I started to take on this philosophy. If you have this philosophy with every person you bring in, it'll serve you very well. Treat them like they are going to be your next superstar, but work with them like they're going to quit tomorrow. Treat them like they're your next superstar, meaning that I'm saying, hey, Jennifer, I'm so excited to be working with you. You've got, you're going to do so amazing. I can't wait to see what this business is going to, but in the behind the scenes, I'm thinking, if I don't go to work, they're not going to be around in a couple of days. So I do everything in my power to try to get them to contact people, to get on the phone with prospects, to go meet them, to jump on Zooms, like anything I can, move heaven and earth to help them get one recruit. And then guess what I do? Let's say Jennifer brings in Joy. I start working with Joy like I'm the one that brought her in. Now, while I'm training and working with Joy, Jennifer is right there next to me learning and listening and watching. But guess what I'm trying to do with Joy? I'm going to treat her like she's my next superstar, but I'm going to work with her like she's going to quit tomorrow. And I do everything in my power to help her recruit someone. Let's say she recruits Lee. Lee's on my second generation now. I work with Lee like I personally recruited her. I help her recruit Susan. Susan's on my third generation. I work with Susan like I personally recruited her because guess what? Jennifer, Joy, or Lee are not capable because they just joined. But you know what I'm doing? I'm having them listen. I'm having them watch. They don't even know what's happening at this point. Their head's spinning out of excitement. They see it working, and then they realize, oh, my God, wait a minute. I'm not going to get paid on this. Okay, I better start working. So the way you motivate people is you burn it from the bottom up. You drive it as deep as you can, as fast as you can, and here's what will happen. You will always find that person that you're looking for, the runner, that person that gets in and you don't even need to call them. They start blowing your phone up, and then you know what you do? You go right back up the line and you scare the death out of everyone above them and say, if you don't get to work, you are going to miss out on the biggest check of your life. And that's what motivates people. That's how you create duplication. That's how you build momentum. You learn how to be an influencer to get people to do things that they wouldn't have done unless you were there. And you learn how to operate with an extreme sense of urgency anytime you bring someone new into the business.
Oh, so amazing. This is Jen, and you probably can't see me because I can't.
Yeah, I can see you.
You can see me. Okay, good. I think Allison lost connection, but oh my gosh, you guys, there's so many zingers. Like, I think we all wrote ouch at the same time on the chat because I can't tell you how amazing this has been. We have followed you for sure on our team in Plexus. We talk about you all the time. We're constantly sharing your lives. And I mean, every day I listen to you and I'm like, get out of my head. You're saying the exact thing. What I always tell people about you is that you say things. I've listened to a lot of gurus for the last 3.5 years. That's as long as I've been in it. But you say things I haven't heard before. You truly do hit on things, and you hit it kind of where it's like, yeah, I needed to hear that. So we appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm grateful for the support. I don't take it lightly that, someone that has a team promotes someone like me, because I know that's a big deal, right? And so I'm really grateful for that. And listen, I'll say this in closing. Some of you might be excited, but also feeling a little discouraged because maybe you're realizing there's a lot that you need to do differently. Here's what I love the most about this profession. Its most redeeming quality is you can start over whenever you want. Doesn't matter how bad you've been. Doesn't matter what has or hasn't happened. You can make tomorrow can be the first day of the rest of your life when it comes to creating the business that you want. So start focusing in the future, do the right things. And if there's anything else I can do, you can connect with me on my website, bobheilig.com. My Facebook page is Your Virtual Upline. I do live daily broadcasts there, and definitely make sure you go check out that social media script guide. I think that'll help you a lot. And Jen, I want to thank you and Allison for having me. And if there's anything else I can do, let me know.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we will be listing all of that on our pages.
All right. Have a good night, ladies.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Allison.
Thanks, Allison. That was awesome.
It was amazing.
So amazing.
Woo. I might post a Bob Heilig video for the next month. I don't know, every day. I mean, he's just, y'all, I was scrolling through today. I can't even see myself. I hate this. I don't know what happened. Y'all, me and technology. I was listening today and, y'all, if you guys have not caught up on some of his recent stuff, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's me, but everything he talks about is just, I feel like he's speaking to us, or it's the same questions I'm getting when I'm trying to coach my level ones or trying to kind of push through or figuring out how to, post things, how to market. I don't know, he has so much good information. So I'm excited to see the scripts as well. But thank you, Allison, for putting this together and for having the cojones to ask him on here. It was amazing. I don't know. We may have lost her again. She doesn't have any service. Yeah, I don't see her on here. But thank you guys so much for jumping on. I hope I did record it. I am going to post it. So I want everybody. I didn't have a chance to even listen to half of it because I was trying to manage all the technology part. But I will post this so we can kind of share it with everybody. And it was good stuff. So thank you guys so much for jumping on tonight. And be sure to jump on tomorrow because Brooke Hemingway is amazing. You guys will get so much out of her. She's just got a way of, she's one of the top credit earners at convention. She was the top credit earner. She has systems that she has adopted in 2 short years and gotten to her to where she is. I think she's Diamond Ruby, yes, as of yesterday. So she's worth tuning in for one more night. So we will see y'all back here tomorrow and hopefully back into no glitches with technology. So okay, bye guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye guys.